Thanks, listeners, for joining us. It is time to catch up on the wild side with Julie Gabrielson, Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Educator. And wow, Julie, what's up?
It's already the end of October.
I cannot believe it. And it's always something with Department of Wildlife with ongoing opportunities. I mean, we hope everybody listening had a great season out there hunting, right?
Well, and it's not done yet. Yeah, we
yet.
still have several seasons that'll be open through January, actually.
Oh, that's right.
So,
some birds and different things.
Well, and even big game through January at this point. So, and then birds carry on a little bit further than that. But yeah, it's a busy season. It really is for everybody, getting back to school and getting into school sports and just, finding that flow again after a couple months through the summer.
That's right. We enjoyed our time, and now it's time to enjoy a different aspect of the outdoors. So we're going to find out. And if you need some inspiration, you're putting together already the Elko Sportsman Expo.
We are. We changed the dates just a little bit. We moved them forward just by a week this year. We actually originally, when the Elko Sportsman Expo started, we started with the last weekend of February and had moved it to the first weekend of March, but we are back to that last weekend of February, and we're changing it up a little bit. Traditionally, it's been a day and a half on a Saturday and Sunday. We're moving it to a Friday and Saturday, 2 full days, and that's going to be February 27th and 28th. If you have any questions about it, you want to be a vendor, we are taking vendor applications right now. You can give me a call at 775-777-2305.
All right. Now's the time, though, because this is definitely one of the more popular expos, certainly in the West, but I mean, for the Elko area.
Yeah. And we love it because it really gives some of our sportsmen something to do in those winter months beyond chasing chukar and, burning your legs out doing that, and give them a little bit of a break inside anyways. And it's a free kids activity room that we offer. It's free admission for the public to come in. And we really just try to make it a good show for the vendors and for the public.
Well, Julie, we know that part of the mission of NDOW is to encourage the youth so that they can continue to steward our lands and promote the sport. And there's an opportunity coming up.
There is, and it's the Youth Pheasant Hunt. This is our second year doing it. It's out at Biawawi. It's going to be November 7th and 8th. That's next Friday and Saturday. And that event, we're down to very, very few seats left because it is a limited space available. It's a free event for the kids where they go through some education stations when it comes to hunting in general, but as well as upland hunting. They do some trap shooting. They get to go out and have opportunities with planted birds. So we kind of have an idea of where they are and when they're going to jump up and give the kids an opportunity at them. But then we also take them out with mentors into the field and actually go after some wild birds. It's sponsored and co-hosted by NGM with us. We've got many other sponsors: Elko Bighorns Unlimited, Chukar Chasers, Win. We've got Wild Sheep Foundation, and there's several others that have contributed to make this happen as well. And it's really a cool event. Last year went really well. This year we changed it up just a little bit to just make it flow and go even better. It's for 12 to 17-year-olds. They must have a valid license with their completed hunter education certificate. They will hunt with dogs with mentors on that Saturday, and even on Friday as well during the planted bird hunt. Those mentors will walk them through all of that as well. So for more information on that, you can again call me at 775-777-2305.
Thanks, Julie. And then, of course, NDOW is assisting teachers. Sometimes cabin fever sets in a little early, so it's nice to have these various school resources, maybe visit the classroom.
Absolutely. Nicole St. John does a great job with our in-school programming, and she's actually working on spring programming already because fall fills up fast. So she's got some availability left in November and December, but she is working on the spring as well. So she's starting to plan for 2025 or 2026 trout in the classroom season. So reach out if you have interest in bringing trout in the classroom into your program or doing it again this year. 1st of November is our Eastern Region Career Fair Loop. So we will be tabling at the Ely, Eureka, Battle Mountain, and Elko Career Fairs. So you can come out and see a little bit more about what we do and let your kids see what we do. I know myself, I grew up in a very agricultural area. And so much of the focus was on ag. And I didn't know any of these jobs with wildlife existed until I was much older.
I was
Much
just
older.
talking to a young friend about, he said, you mean there are jobs about fishing?
Yes.
And I said, there are jobs about fishing.
There are. It is the coolest thing. And so it was really such an eye opener for me. So we love having this presence at career fairs and making sure that people know that there's some really different jobs out there that you don't necessarily hear about.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
So that is coming up, the job career fair, and I don't have any details on where it's going to be, but
so there's multiple.
Oh, I get it.
Ely,
Okay.
Eureka, Battle Mountain, and Elko,
Okay.
and they all run. They're usually part of the school schedule as well, and that's all going to be in the first 2 weeks of November.
So we'll look for you and the Nicoles. At
Yeah.
that. Okay,
Yep.
perfect. And then along those lines too, you really value your volunteers to help continue these opportunities.
We do. I mean, so much of what we do could not be done without volunteers. For an example, the Elko Sportsman Expo and the Youth Pheasant Hunt, those are heavily volunteer based. And I mean, when my division out here is only three women strong, we got a lot of people that we got to pull in to help us out. And so we get a lot of cooperation from other staff as well, but our volunteers are what really do it for us. So we're always looking for more volunteers, hunter education instructors, wildlife ed instructors, angler education instructors, our after school archery program. We're always looking for some additional instructors to help with that. We put you through all of the training. There's no cost that goes to you with it. And we're happy to have you come out and help and be a part of that with us.
And Julie Gabrielson started as a volunteer. I think that's always good to know.
I did. So I started as a hunter education instructor back in the early 2000s. I think 2001 was my first hunter education class.
Wow.
And then in 2016 is when I actually got hired on as a full-time employee.
That's exciting. And archery has really taken off in our community, hasn't it?
It has. You know, our NASP Archery Club, which we meet every other Tuesday, so not every other Tuesday, the first and third Tuesdays of every month at the Flagview Intermediate School's auxiliary gym, and it is free for the kids. We provide all of the equipment necessary, and we've really got a group of kids that have really embraced this and have come for many years now and are doing really well with it. And we love seeing the new ones come in each year as well and kind of build on that. And they're taking it beyond the Archery Tuesdays, and they're joining the local archery club and doing some of the shoots there and really enjoying it. And so that is one of those programs that without some volunteers, I wouldn't be able to run it either.
Talking with Julie Gabrielson from Nevada Department of Wildlife. If you're interested, give her a call at NDOW so that you can get in the pipeline for any number of these opportunities. So changing seasons, it's that time of year. We're starting to hear more reports about deer vehicle collisions.
Yeah, it is that time of year. I mean, you know, from fall and winter, those, especially in residential areas, those collisions tend to pick up a little bit. It's a change in the deer movement with the change of the season, shorter days, which means our daily commute is actually occurring at those lower light hours, which is when those animals are starting to move a little bit more. So even, you know, the most vigilant of us as drivers, just got to, you know, take a couple extra steps when it comes to this time of year. Slow down, especially during those low light windows. Pay attention to what's moving on the side of the roads as well as what's moving ahead of you. Drive with your high beams on when possible. Obviously, we don't want to blind fellow drivers coming towards us, but that does help open up that visual both to the sides of the road and straight out in front of you. Take note of the deer crossing signs. That doesn't mean that they're actually going to be waiting there for you to go across, but but that's a heavy area where they tend to move back and forth. So there's a reason for those signs being in those areas. And on those high traffic areas, curves, there's a section on the Moyle Highway that there's kind of a bend in it that you frequently see where there's been some incidences happening with the wildlife. And then when it comes to increasing activity on your property or even near the roadways, remove those attractants like your pet and your livestock feed, remove the access to them, and that'll deter the deer from congregating into those areas. You know, feeding our wildlife feeding deer is an NRS regulation where we do have fines for that, and it is a violation to be feeding those deer.
Yes, really the best way to live with wildlife is to leave them alone or discourage them if possible.
It really is. Just let them do their thing. Let Mother Nature take its course with them, and they've been doing it for how many years?
Exactly.
I don't even know how many
Eons.
years.
Let's just pick that word.
I like
Yes,
it.
yes.
So yeah, absolutely. Let them do what they do.
And on the topic of game, of course, among the various roles of Nevada Department of Wildlife, that is managing our big game species and monitoring them for any signs of disease.
Yeah. So, when we do surveys and, any kind of captures, whether they're for surveys or relocation or whatever, we always monitor them as part of that as well. But one of the other things that we're working on is the chronic wasting disease management. We're recently finding out that not as many people are aware of what CWD really is, and that it is in our neighboring states. So we're really trying to make a push to educate our outdoorsmen of what CWD is and how they can help us to try to prevent it from coming into Nevada. We are disease-free. But it is in our neighboring states. We've got it in California, I believe Idaho, and Utah have been have had some cases of it, and some of them are very close to our border on the California side. The state law dictates that any meat harvested outside of the state, you're not allowed to bring back into the state any portions of the spine or brain matter. So if you're coming back into Nevada from another state where you've harvested big game, that meat cannot have any brain matter or any spine included in that. Self-sampling options for animals that you've harvested in the state, there's several options out there. You can order a kit from us. There's a QR code that you can get. Most of our big game hunters have received emails, if not mailings, with some of that information of what they can do to further help us with that and monitoring. You can also call any of the offices. Call ahead of time, because we can do the sampling for you in the office, but we do need to make sure that somebody's there that is proficient with doing that sampling. So for the second year, in an effort to stimulate hunter engagement, our partners at Nevada Muleys, they've set up a raffle and provided numerous prizes. So all you've got to do to enter that raffle is submit a CWD sample, and then you'll be provided an entry link. So for more information and details on CWD, you can see pages 6 and 7 in our current big game hunting regs and our season book, and that'll give you more details.
Great. And it's nice that we have partners, conservation groups like Nevada Muleys to help perpetuate this. Yeah, that's wonderful. And as we talked about the top of the program, Julie, the upland bird season is also underway along with waterfowl.
It is. Yeah, we've got chukar, the Hungarian partridge, and quail seasons. Those opened on October 12th, but then they're going to be open through February 2nd. We've got the NDOW chukar forecast is available at NDOW.org, and you can see, but the general sentiment is that it's going to be a good bird season.
Oh, that's good to know. Yeah. Yep. So a good family experience. And as Julie Gabrielson is reminding us, it's always safety first. Waterfowl is also in full swing as well.
It is. So the seasons for the northeast zone is Elko, Eureka, Lander, and White Pine counties. And that's September 27th through December 2nd. Then December 13th through January 19th.
Taking a bit of a break.
A little bit of a break.
Yeah, that's all right. It's the holiday season. So this next topic we really want to emphasize because unfortunately there have been a record high number apparently of some violations through that NDOW's detected.
Yeah, this year we've had some higher numbers in certain violations. We've always had, some very common violations of, shooting from across the road or shooting from a vehicle, having a loaded firearm in the vehicle. Those are always pretty common violations, and they are just that. They are violations when you're out there, and they're all set up for your own personal safety. But some of our higher numbers this year have been for unlawful physical characteristics. And what that means is when somebody's had a bull tag and they've taken a cow, or a cow tag and they've taken a bull, or a buck on a doe tag, or a doe on a buck tag. And this really goes back to due diligence and knowing what your target is. Additional to that is, 2 times the legal limit of game for your tag, which what that is where you've shot one and it's done a pass through and hit one that's behind it, or shot one, thought that it ran off, but it didn't, but then the one that did run off, you shot that. So there's been several instances that really need some attention paid to it, and it really comes back to knowing what you're aiming at, knowing what's behind your target, what potentially other things could be hit. And again, that goes back to safety as much as it does to the conservation of the species. If there's a big rock behind your target, is that going to be a safe shot? So it really goes back to knowing that target, what lies behind your target, and being aware of all of the surroundings while you're out there hunting. Because none of us want to be, have a game warden roll up and have to have that interaction with them instead of, the high five of, congratulations, way to go. And so it's not a fun situation for anybody involved.
And I do know that the sheriff's office appreciates when we just remind people about, again, the loaded firearms in the vehicle, shooting from across the road, and then filing trip plans, because they've also had to do a fair amount of search and rescue this year, Julie. So.
Yeah, and it really does come down to, that we call it a hunt plan when we're doing a hunter education class, but it's not just for hunting, it's for hiking, for any kind of outdoor activity. Make sure somebody knows where you're going. That's super important for the event that you do get stuck and you don't have cell service or any kind of satellite service. It's really a cool thing, because I'm noticing a lot of these cell phone providers now are offering a satellite text. And it's a lot of times it's just part of your regular coverage, so you don't even necessarily need to have a satellite transponder. You can just do it straight through your text. But you still have to, you got to be patient, because sometimes those take a little time as well. But it really does come back to somebody knowing where you're going, somebody that's familiar with the area that can help with any kind of search and rescue if it does have to happen.
Julie Gabrielson is our guest today, Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Educator. And Julie, it's also helpful that people know there's a procedure in place if you're out in the field and you maybe get suspicious. There's something going on that may be not quite right.
And, we all come across something. I had something during my season back in August. And it's inevitable when you're out there as much as you are, you're going to see something that just doesn't quite feel right. We ask that you don't approach the situation. Just take as much information as you can from it. Vehicle description, a license plate if you can get it, description of the people, what they were wearing, what it is that you think was happening, and a location. A location's always really important as well. And you can always call that into our Operation Game Thief phone number, which is 800-992-3030, or you can go to our NDOW tip app and download that app, and you can submit anything in there as well. And you can do it anonymously. You don't have to give your name and contact information if you don't want to. Obviously, it helps if they can come in and talk to you a little bit more, but you do have the anonymous option.
That's good to know. All through Nevada Department of Wildlife. Well, from hunting, let's talk now about fishing, shall we?
And cooler weather,
yes.
which always improves trout fishing at our reservoirs and high lakes. However, some recent storms, incoming storms, that does tend to limit access. So be aware of that when you're making your plans to go out. And again, make sure somebody knows where you're going. Fall trout stocking is underway. Elko County waters that will receive some stocking include South Fork, the Carlin Pond, Dry Creek Reservoir, Jakes Creek, the collection ditch at Ruby Lake, South Lake at Ruby Lake, as well as Wild Horse Reservoir. Those are all going to be receiving some trout stocking in the next couple weeks. Boaters visiting South Fork and Wild Horse Reservoirs, we remind you that the state park staff typically starts pulling docks around October, early November time if they're not already out. So be prepared to launch without the assistance of the docks when you arrive, because it does happen right about this time.
Yep. And you don't want to be surprised.
No.
And then our favorite website, of course, if you're out fishing, I hear lots of great things about this one.
Fish NV, yeah, it is. It's a great interactive site where you can go in and you can dial it down by species. Where I want to fish for a Lahontan cutthroat trout. Where can I do that? And you can actually hit the drop down and pick that out, and it's going to show you all the different waters that you can go to fish those. If you're going for the slam, it's going to be able to tell you what different waters you can find which fish as part of that slam. If you want to target warm water fish, it really allows you to just do a lot of things on there, and it's pretty cool.
Fish NV, and that's for anybody, even if you just are curious or you want kind of a safe, fun app to hand your kids that they can kind of play on and explore. Look at this fish, Mom. Yep. And then, of course, operations. There are things that have to be done administratively through NDOW and through your participants in this hunting, on all these hunting seasons.
Absolutely, yeah. So your harvest questionnaires, they need to be completed by January 31st. You can log into your NDOWlicensing.com account where you apply for your tags, and just click on return cards or surveys and just finish your survey. It's super quick and easy, but you do need to get that done by January 31st. If you need to return a tag, it must be received within 1 business day of the season open. Those forms can be downloaded at NDOWlicensing.com, or you can pick them up at the NDOW office. You do have to fill out that form as part of returning the tag as well.
And the same thing if you need to want a duplicate tag. I guess you pay fill out a form, pay a fee.
Yeah, some people, we get several people a year that say that they've not gotten them in the mail, or they've lost them, they washed them, something happened to them, and so they need a duplicate tag. Again, there is a form for that. It's a $10 fee. Bring your driver's license in with you when you do that, because you will need to do that at one of the offices to be able to get that.
And then the follow-up is that makes an opportunity for someone else.
It can on the return tags for the first come, first serve. Those are returned tags that can't go to an alternate, whether there wasn't an alternate, the alternate isn't available to be able to take it, or it's less than 14 days before the season starts. So when picking up at the office on those the first come first serve tags, bring your driver's license. And if somebody else is picking up for you, you need to call ahead and make sure that we're aware of that. Whether there be a letter sent, an email sent, some information with the front office, we do need to know that if you're sending somebody else in.
All right, just a formal way to release that tag.
Yep.
And then we have other seasons that are underway, as you talked about. I think chucker, duck hunting, of course, but there are some cats that folks are going after.
Yeah, so bobcat season opens on the 1st, and it'll close February 28th. So there will be traps out, so be aware of that when you're out bird hunting, and just know that that season also opens up here in tomorrow.
All right, yeah. And then the e-duck stamps are also available, and these are kind of fun to have.
Yeah, so the federal e-duck stamps you can get at the NDOW office, but you can pick up the physical stamp at the post office. And then mountain lion tags, those can also be purchased online or in the office. But remember, you must have your tag in possession while you are hunting for those mountain lions.
All right. Anything that you have questions about, you can call NDOW Operations 775-777-2300. So these are all important things to know.
Yes.
And this next topic is great because this shows all the work that the NDOW accomplishes, but also in concert with many volunteers and conservation groups, Julie.
Our habitat crew, they have so much going on, and some of it is really just, they really don't get a lot of credit for some of the stuff that they have going on. And, Clover Valley and South Ruby Vents modifications, that contract was completed last week. It started a year ago. And they were able to complete it this week or last week. NDOW worked with multiple private landowners to install 32 wildlife fence jumps. Those are modifications along existing fence lines and that reduces energy expenditures to improve movement for the mule deer. And that's really, a critical winter migration route area in Area 10. And so those modifications really make a difference for that energy expenditure.
And then we see some improvements at Argenta, which is, again, another gem in the crown of NDOW.
It is. So we had some donated irrigation wheel lines that were installed at the Argenta WMA. That's going to help develop fields that will be seeded with wildlife-friendly forage species to support the the upland and big game that live out there and use that area.
And that's a wildlife management area. And I know, talking to friends, anybody that's visited, they just say it's just magical out there. It's amazing.
It really is a neat place to go and just walk through. And they've got a nice walking path that you can just walk so much of it.
Mm-hmm. And then along those lines too, again, our conservation groups and others who care about being good stewards and protecting the habitat and the wildlife. Let's talk about what happened at the Bruno.
Yeah, so over 300 acres on the Bruno WA were aerially sprayed this fall, and that was to control cheatgrass to improve the wildlife habitat. NDOW, our biologists, we've also been coordinating closely with the BLM, the Forest Service, additional private landowners, and fire rehab treatment planning for the Adobe Mountain Fire, the Hot Canyon Fire, the Sheep Creek Fire, Jake's Fire, and the Cottonwood Peak Fire. So those treatments planned for this fall and through the next 5 years will include aerial herbicide application, and that's to combat weeds, aerial and drill seeding of diverse wildlife seed mixes, and seedling planting to restore wildlife habitat values. Nearly 19,000 acres was aerially sprayed so far this fall for cheatgrass and medusa head control in Elko County, and that was on recent and old burn scars, with an additional 10,000 acres that will be awarded on the Cottonwood Peak Fire. So they've got a lot of stuff going on, and a lot of it is really focused right now on some of that wildfire rehab. All of that's going to help reduce the annual invasive grasses that typically are typically followed by a seeding that follow winter using that diverse wildlife seed mix. Mm-hmm. And it really makes a great deal to prevent cheatgrass and medusa head from taking over in that recovering and recently burned areas across the rangelands.
So if you are a volunteer or you are a member of or support a conservation group, Julie, this is really a great example of how those contributions really add up. So.
They do, because some of it is funding that comes our way to help pay for the treatments. Some of it is hands and feet on the ground, and it really does make a big difference. And I believe we're starting to work on our planning for the sagebrush seed collection that should happen towards the end of November as well. So be watching out for that.
Yep, we will definitely tell you details. You'll hear them here from Julie Gabrielson, Nevada Department of Wildlife Conservation Educator, and great lineup of topics today and I did want to mention to you that I've been checking in with our Parks and Recreation Department, the city of Elko, and they're super excited. The urban fishery area, the pond, is out for design. So,
yes, it is.
Yeah.
Yes, it is. Yeah,
so,
one step closer.
Exactly, step by step, and seeing that come to a reality. That's because as I mentioned, meeting young people that love fishing. I mean, they get so excited about, and it's great to see that, Julie. They're not glued to video games, all of them.
It really is, and it's just having that availability to them, mm-hmm. and sparking that interest with them in one way. I drove over the bridge on Saturday midday, and I saw a whole family out there fishing at the 12th Street Pond. So it's already getting some use. We're just going to make it even better to use.
That's right. It'll be even better. And it's home to not only the fish, but there are birds, plenty of birds, the toads. There's a lot of wildlife. You just have to take a pause and look for it, right?
Yeah, we've had reports of otters, beavers. We've obviously had porcupines in there. There is big game that goes through there. We see deer tracks through there all the time as well. So it's home to a lot.
Yep, just off the 12th Street Bridge right here in Elko, that Sharps access. So,
it is, yeah.
Julie, thanks as always for the update. We appreciate the news and information from Nevada Department of Wildlife. Just a quick plug, there are YouTube channels. There are some great spaces on social media where people can go and get full-length stories and things like projects that you have edited, some video, really exciting stuff that kids enjoy too.
Absolutely, yeah. And you can just, pull it up and just let it go, and you can learn from fly tying flying all the way back to, seeing a goat capture to, it's pretty diverse on what we've got on there.
That's right. And then again, just looking forward to the Elko Sportsman Expo, February 27th and 28th, mixing it up on a Friday, Saturday this year. But please do call Julie Gabrielson from NDOW if you would like to contribute to that project as a vendor, or maybe you have some other ideas, or you want to pitch in as a volunteer. I know
Absolutely.
she'd appreciate that.
Yep, we definitely need volunteers.
Thank you, listeners, for joining us for Elko Live today, featuring our guest, Julie Gabrielson from Nevada Department of Wildlife.